Albany High School opened its doors in 1974 to a sense of excitement and community pride. But that was more than 40 years ago, and so much has changed.
I don't think it's light enough. I don't think it's big enough. I think this building has outgrown its usefulness.
We have a high school that was conceived of nearly 50 years ago, and it no longer meets those needs. We need a high school for the 21st century. We need a high school that sends the message to our children and to our community that we take their education seriously and that we believe in their future.
It's very difficult to get from one place to the other in this school. There's blind hallways, which is unsafe for the students. If you want to get from one classroom to another, you have to walk around these bridges, and it's not really conducive for a good learning environment. And it goes beyond that. When it comes to the classrooms themselves, they're not up to date technologically, and they weren't built so they could be easily updated. And our students, in order to be competitive, they need to have those technological advances to keep up with the 21st century and to be leaders.
Back in 1974, when the building was built, teachers' tools basically consisted of chalkboards and overhead projectors. Today, we're into smartboards, Elmos, handheld devices, wireless networks, so we're trying to use a 40-year-old building to teach in 21st century methods.
The classroom spaces present challenges. We have different sized classrooms that don't necessarily meet the needs of the instruction we're trying to provide. Trying to fit technology into certain classrooms that are very small, trying to keep our science labs up to date in various spaces presents a challenge. So each area, I could say, has a challenge in how we're trying to do education currently.
Breaking into the academies, the real concept behind that was to give more students more opportunities to interact with adults. And the difficulty with that in the current space, of course, is it was not built on that.
40 years ago, this building worked very well. With 3,000 kids in the direction we're headed, it's not working anymore.
The students need it now. They need the technology to be able to function. If you want to be college and career ready, you have to have technology. And we need a building that allows us to give our students that edge.
Well, 3,000 students in one place, it's not problematic, but it's incredibly difficult. I can't provide a wealth of courses, opportunities, like our families are asking for with 3,000 students in one spot.
One thing people always say about a large building is despite all of its wonderful offerings and opportunities, it provides a space where students get lost, so to speak, where someone doesn't know their name. And really the purpose of the smaller learning communities is to have those relationships where a student knows that there's an adult in a building or several adults in a building that are responsible for them and are their person or go-to person.
Frequently, teachers are in classrooms flung all over the building, first, second, third floor. Should a student come for help, which they do frequently, they have to track you down. It's really not easy to give extra help to students if they can't find you. In fact, it's impossible.
For the most part, like English offices are kind of spread around, the language offices are kind of spread around, the math offices are kind of spread around, so you have to kind of like find which office your teacher is in. It'd be nice if like you could find where they are without having to be like, oh yeah, I have to make sure to ask this teacher exactly where they're going to be ninth period when they have a free time.
I think some people slip between the cracks, and we hear that phrase a lot, but it's true. When there are so many kids in the school, it's really easy to get lost. When people are starting to look more for that individualized process and put kids in academies and learn their names and know them.
It allows students to be seen. It allows students to have a relationship with other adults within that small learning community. It allows for efficiencies, it allows for effectiveness, and allows for even more opportunity.
Right now, we do technically have two campuses that encompass Albany High School. Our Career and Technical Education program is 4 blocks away, and it's close, but I'd rather have the Career and Technical Education Center be a central part of the high school because it's a central part of the future of our students.
40 years ago, Career Tech was a separate entity. It was a place where kids went that were not headed to college. It's now become the center of the high school experience as opposed to a separate experience across the hall, across the street.
I think the Career and Technology School should be a huge focus in our building. I think it should be centrally located so that everyone can see it. Every student should be involved in those things.
My concern on a daily basis is our students, and it could be 100 to 150 crossing the road at any given time, the outside public access to our students. If we were all contained in one building, that would be one less thing that we'd have to worry about for the safety of our students.
I feel like kids will get to class like on time faster, and they will have more time in the classroom, because when I walk to a Brooklyn, I literally have like 20 minutes of class. I feel like I've lost a lot of time. So if all the classes were here, people would actually know where culinary is, or nursing, or car tech, or video production now. Kids would be more involved, and I feel like that would be a great change.
We can't continue to have that be a separate entity and have only some students know about it because it's a physical space removed from this building. We have to really begin to tie it into our everyday instruction and make it a path that students see as viable for them when they exit high school.
The world has changed. 40 years ago, we didn't have to worry about this. Nowadays, wherever you go through a metal detector, you go into a building where you're going to be checked, your bags are going to be checked.
As an architect, what we do in designing buildings and in assessing buildings is all about really assessing people and life and how life functions. And life back in the 70s and 60s, in the 60s when the building was designed and actually constructed in the 70s, is different.
We have a beautiful courtyard, which our seniors have the privilege of using, but it presents a challenge again when it comes to security measures, getting students back and forth into the building and keeping that space safe, because it's very open. Anyone can walk through that space at any point in the day.
As a security staff, we are stretched thin because of the design of this building. There's no reason for us to have this much open space and this much access points from one side of the building to the other.
We need to do a major investment to improve the instructional environment at the secondary level. We need to do that regardless of whether we infuse major resources into the current structure, or a major renovation, or a totally new structure. We're finding right now at the high school, we're constantly doing really stopgap emergency repairs. On the wall, for example, currently the swimming pool is closed and will have to remain closed for several months. We know that doing nothing is not an option. We know the current building would require a $50 to $60 million investment, and it would simply get us the status quo. So we could either approach this brick by brick, or system by system, and project by project, or what we've tried to do really is package addressing all the current needs that we currently know of, and also planning for future enrollment and designing a building around, as long as we're making a major investment for the next 50 years, why don't we do it correctly? And from a programmatic standpoint, we believe that the way we're designing the building will actually set the stage for 21st century learning and better match the way we teach today versus the way we were teaching in the early 70s when this building was designed. This will allow us to increase the space of the high school by about 50% and bring over the CTE programs into the main campus.
It was considered the state-of-the-art school across the country, this building that we're in right now. We need to get something together now for our children, equally as exciting, equally as advanced, but for this generation, our students deserve it and our community deserve it.
I feel like it definitely would change the outlook that a lot of people have. And it's, even if they don't become like A students, they'll just have a more positive outlook on school, and that will just build a better community. And with a better community, that means that kids that come up are more confident and comfortable in their environment. They're more proud to be a Falcon.
The strength of our city really depends on the strength of our schools. As go the schools, so goes the city of Albany.
I think it would be great for like kids like my baby sister and stuff like that to walk into a brand new building, have a brand new experience.
A new facility reinvests ourselves in the future of our city. It looks forward, and it says to 20 years down the road, the children of tomorrow, we believe in you. We know that you're going to be here, and we know that you're going to continue to make the city great. Having a new facility now tells my children that Albany High is a worthwhile place to educate their children.